Are there ever any excuses for our behavior? There was a case once in Florida, no, sorry, California, Northern California, of someone who was murdered, and the defense was donuts. Made, I think it was a her, made her do it. Maybe him, I don't remember, so many years ago. Eating so many donuts made them go a little berserk and crazy. I guess all the sugar, high on sugar, and acted, in an abnormal fashion. And therefore, defense was crazy. Is that a good defense? Well, it didn't seem to work out back then. But for ourselves, when we don't, live up to what we have to live up to. Love is blind, and we're blinded by that self-love to always find a good excuse for why we acted in a certain way, why we did a certain thing, said something, whatever the case may be. Does that wash in any way? Welcome to Tanya today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zuch Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We are in chapter 30, dealing with a very difficult subject of having a sense of being very low before every single person. That could be misconstrued, that could be abused even by oneself in not understanding this properly. The Mishnah does say, in the ethics of our fathers, that you should be low in your estimation of self before every single person. The greatest of the great do not think that they're the greatest of the great. Greatest of the great from a Jewish perspective, that is. I don't mean, a goat, the greatest of all times. No, those are not the greatest of the great. The greatest of the great of people. Righteous people. So they sense in themselves shval ruach, being lower than anybody and everyone else. Because they look at somebody, because, as it says also in the ethics of our fathers, that don't judge a person until you are in their place. And the Alter Rebbe explains, it's their place that made them do it, meaning their physical and spiritual place. Their physical place is they have to make a livelihood in in a not such wholesome place, in the street corners, seeing all the passerbyers, their eyes going where their eyes shouldn't go. That leads them astray with sinful thoughts and so on. And spiritually, they were also like a very strong animal soul, a bull in a china shop, or as the metaphor, like a baker's oven that is fiery, with passionate, with lust, addictive personality, if you will. So that's everything we learned yesterday. The Alter Rebbe continues today in a very short thought. He says, in truth, even that individual who by nature, God created them by nature, right, is got like this fiery, burning temperament, easily to get angry, easily to, give you that nary look and to say nasty things because of the angered personality. And not only angered personality, but maybe, you know, as one might have a personality, but it can also be further brought out in the way a person was brought up. And furthermore, they make their livelihood by sitting on the street corners and, and again, not in a wholesome environment. Says the Alter Rebbe, there's no excuse for any sin that person would commit. That person's considered a Rasha Gomer, utter evildoer. Why? Because they should have the sense of God's presence before them. That God sees everything. He has the eye that sees. And by the awareness that God sees everything, that should give us the strength of self-control to restrain those desires. Not that those desires won't occur, they'll occur. But because God's presence is real, He sees our actions, therefore that helps us to restrain. Why? Because we are created with the mind having dominion over the heart. That the mind has supremacy over the heart. So when your mind is aware of God's presence, we will be able to have self-control. And this individual who by nature, I gave the example, has got this anger situation, temperament, angry temperament, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse because he's got to work, on the streets, and therefore his eyes go everywhere, places it shouldn't. Why is that not an excuse? Because we have a mind that we can think and be aware that God is seeing everything I'm doing, and that should give me then the power to overcome. Not He's seeing what I'm doing and therefore I'm going to burn in hell if if I'm going to do this thing. No, it's not the consequence of it. Right? No. Because that's not called the fear of God, that's the fear of punishment. The fear of God means the fear of God's presence, that He sees it. He sees what I'm doing. Right? Like a person says when you do something wrong, I hope no one sees, and they're thinking to themselves, I hope no one sees what I'm doing. Because you intuitively know that you're doing something wrong. So even this individual who the Beinoni is going to compare himself to and feel lesser than this person, that doesn't mean that person who he feels lesser than is excused because of their behavior. No. We're all responsible for our behavior. It doesn't matter what you were born with and what you were inculcated with, what your parents did to you. It is irrelevant. Because if we know the truth, that God empowers us, gives us the strength, gives us the capability. Because when we're mindful of God and what's right and wrong, we'll be able to overcome ourselves and not give in. That's today's class. Any questions? Any comments? I think there were some questions yesterday that I didn't notice, or they came afterwards maybe. If you want to bring them up from yesterday, anything that I missed, please do. Elise is studying Tanya and lighting Shabbos candles in the merit of the hostages in Gaza. including Daniel Shimshon, Ben Sharon, and Meir Yan, Alex. Thank you, Elise. Many of you are doing. Brett, that's a good one. The donut defense glazes over the truth. I like that. Yeah, that's what glazed donuts do. They hide the truth, right? Because a glazed donut to the eyes, ooh, very tempting. Covers over on the truth. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, that was it. Twinkie defense. Yes, yes. The Twinkies are donuts, right? Yeah, it was in California, Northern California. Thank you, Leia. Right? And blamed it on his diet. Yeah, that was his defense. Exactly. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Thank you, Leia. The Twinkie defense, that's what it was. I said donuts, but it was, well, Twinkies are donuts, but that was it. So, what's the bottom line? Don't eat donuts for breakfast. It won't be a good defense. I don't see any questions, but thank you, Leah, for that update. Alrighty. So the best defense is a good offense, they say. A good offense means that we are mindful of Hashem's presence, which ties in perfectly into last night's Torah studies that we spoke about. Concept of prayer, and Talis and Tefillin. For those who missed it on YouTube, go to Tanya Rabbi and the essence of prayer from last night. Davida, why didn't our ancestors know this so that they could have stopped from sinning with the golden calf? Why didn't they know it? They knew it. Like we know it. Why is it that the Twinkies or the glazing donuts attract us and we succumb to it, right? I'm sure it's all happened to us, so we've all either overeaten or, eaten something that we knew that was not good to eat, but we ate it anyways. Like, don't we know better? Of course we know better. But we forgot. We forgot what we just learned. So when we forget what we just learned, it's easy to be attracted to something that is pleasing to the eyes. That's how it began. Chava, Eve, was gazing at the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? And it was pleasing to the eyes. It was good for, the eyes appreciated it, was attracted to it, wanted it. Did she not know better? Yeah. Do we not know better? Yes. Of course we do. But we forget this idea, that God sees, that God empowers us, that we can not only he sees, but he's creating this moment So therefore he's not just seeing, because that can mean from a distance, but he's creating this moment, and therefore he's very present. It's even a deeper idea. It's interesting the Alter Rebbe didn't bring that here, because the simple idea of any simple person is um, to be aware that God sees, not with eyes like we have, and therefore we see limited in a limited fashion. God isn't limited in any way, because of course he doesn't see with physical eyes. So when he sees, and we're aware of that, that gives us the strength to do the right from the wrong. So, but we blind ourselves sometimes because of others, like the mixed multitude who blinded the Israelites. And yeah. All right. All right, folks. Amazing. I had a wonderful TRC last night. I had a wonderful class. Again, for the class, go to Tanya Rabbi, look up the essence of prayer. I enjoyed it very much. All right. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad, Zirchen Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, great day. And Rambam coming up. Come and join us. Thank you for joining. Have a great day.